When writing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Hidehiko Araki tends to rely on major villains having a huge assortment of henchmen, which are disposable and able to be thrown at the protagonist week after week, as to create a weekly conflict. And with that, you get a lot of really lame Monster of the Week antagonists mixed in with some very good ones. But it's always the truly special ones that stick out the most. And one of the most special henchmen that Araki has ever handled was the childishly naive and arguably innocent Blackmore and his stand, Catch the Rainbow.
Peaceful.
Blackmore is one of Funny Valentine's strangest but yet simplest bodyguards, be it his mannerisms, his way of speaking, or his strange way of approaching problem solving. Blackmore comes off as very different from the rest of Funny Valentine's guards, and he's possibly one of the strongest. Though, before we can talk about that, I feel like we should talk about the meaning behind his name first. So Blackmore gets his name from the English guitarist and songwriter Richard Blackmore, also known as Ritchie Blackmore. Now, Richard Blackmore was known for his very talented career in a band called Deep Purple, as he worked as their guitarist. But after about 7 years, he broke off in an attempt to form his own solo career, though he found this task to be a lot more difficult than he originally imagined, and decided instead to form a whole new band, which he named Rainbow. And it was from here that Richard Blackmore's career would then seriously take off. Now we can see the history of Blackmore's name reflected in his actions during his arc, as Blackmore is shown to be an extremely talented stand user, much like Richard Blackmore was a really talented musician. And then we also get the fact that when he gets his hands on the corpse parts and starts to grow a bit of an ego, he decides he wants to break it out on his own. Much like Richard Blackmore, after 7 years of working with Deep Purple, wanted to form his own solo act. Those distraction costed him, and he got shot multiple times in the chest, dragging himself down back into reality, thus deciding that he was being punished for his greed and wanted to return to his original ways, which is a reflection of Richard Blackmore not feeling comfortable with the solo career, considering it was a lot harder than he had originally imagined, and returning to the comfort of having a band, which is why he formed Rainbow. Now, as I said before, Blackmore is one of the strangest members of Valentine's personal bodyguard, and the reason for this being isn't directly stated, but I feel like it's strongly hinted at the fact that Blackmore's strangeness might come from a mental disability. Now, this is not confirmed in any way by Araki, but if you examine his interactions with people, view some of his scenes from a different perspective, and just look closely at his mannerisms, it kind of feels like it. First, of course, you have his unique way of speaking, as in Japanese, Blackmore's dialogue is written in a way that makes it come off as extremely childish or simple-minded. Along with that, you have his extremely apologetic nature, as he's constantly apologizing for things, even if no one has accused him of anything. You also have his seeming lack of social skills, be it checking the toilet for an intruder when they ran into the bathroom, or creepily floating over people. This mixed with Blackmore's very strange mannerisms, and his tendency to bite things that he wants instead of grabbing them, might hint at the fact that he isn't exactly playing with a full deck of cards. Though, in the end, these can all be chalked up to normal JoJo strangenesses or quirks in a character, as if it's not addressed directly in the universe, it can just be written off as that's just JoJo. But when Blackmore encounters the Saint for the first time, he brings up something strange, questioning if someone like him is even worthy of something as important as the corpse parts. And given all the things I listed beforehand, this could be him reflecting on his own disability. We also know the fact that Jesus was known for aiding the disabled, and the Saint only visits 2 people during the entirety of Steel Ball Run: Johnny Joestar, who is physically disabled, and Blackmore, who could be mentally disabled. Though in the end, it doesn't really matter if Blackmore is mentally disabled or not, as he's still one of the strongest stand users in the entirety of Steel Ball Run, and that's all because of his stand, Catch the Rainbow. Catch the Rainbow is a stand that takes the shape of a hockey mask with a rainbow design on the front of it. The reason for this being is the rainbow design comes directly from the Catch the Rainbow name, as Araki states in JoJo Veller. Its stats are C in destructive power, C in speed, B in range, B in durability, D in precision, and D in developmental potential. Now, ability-wise, Catch the Rainbow is a little weird, as it's a singular, very versatile ability that you may not understand right away, and that ability is Complete Rain Manipulation. Now, this ability does not work specifically with water, but with the concept of rain, as without a natural rainstorm, it is basically worthless. But if Blackmore can perform within a natural rainstorm, he can do nearly impossible tasks. First, of course, Catch the Rainbow allows Blackmore to freeze rain droplets in place. These droplets become completely immovable by any outside force, allowing Blackmore to block things like steel balls or seal up wounds if he so wants to. Also, if touched by anyone other than Blackmore, it can cut clean through the target, and these cuts are so clean that a less perceptive person wouldn't actually even notice notice it until it was already too late. Along with this, Blackmore can take the mist of the rain and forge it into a razor-sharp mist-like glass, which slices just as clean as the rain droplets themselves. Then, if Blackmore touches the droplets himself, he finds he is able to walk and hop on them as if they were the ground. Though this isn't the only thing that he can do while touching the raindrops, as Catch the Rainbow also allows Blackmore to mend himself with the raindrops, allowing him to move his body alongside the rain as it falls, or shift physically between different patches of rainfall, allowing him to cover large stretches of land in quick succession. Though at the end of the day, these raindrops are still raindrops, and if heated up, they will evaporate like regular water. And along with that, if the rain starts to dissipate, Catch the Rainbow's ability loses more and more power until it's basically useless again. Along with the overall rain aesthetic of his stand, Blackmore's design is also themed around rain, with his hooded rain poncho, his droplet design found all over his pants. Of course, you also have his umbrella, which he carries with him but never really uses, as he never really needs it. And then finally, you also have, when he does pass away from his wounds, a rainbow can be seen above him, symbolizing the end of his reign. Did you like what I did there? I combined the one rain with the other rain. Forget about it. I know I'm a genius. Now, Catch the Rainbow gets its name from the song of the same name, Catch the Rainbow by Rainbow. The song itself is about doing the impossible. As Rodney James Dio describes, the meaning behind the lyrics were themed around a stable boy getting with an aristocratic girl, them falling in love, and how impossible relationships like that are. Along with this, Araki said that he wanted to capture the theme of Catch the Rainbow with a stand, by giving it an equally impossible but fitting name, as walking on rain is probably the simplest and quickest way to catch a rainbow. Along with this, you also have the possible reference to Rainbow's second album and one of their biggest, which is Rising Rainbow, which its cover depicts a man literally reaching up and grabbing the rainbow. This could be represented by the fact that Blackmore physically rises above people using his Catch the Rainbow, either stepping above them or like floating above them. But you also have the fact that Rising Rainbow is considered to be Rainbow's peak in a sense. It's one of the albums before Dio left, and it was when Blackmore and Dio were working together as a good group. Now when it comes down to it, Blackmore may not be one of the smartest of Valentine's crew, but he's without a doubt one of the strongest and most dedicated, as he is always willing to rise above and do the impossible, like catching a rainbow when no one else could. And if you enjoyed this video and like to see more videos like it in the future, I have a Patreon at patreon.com/ManyNotTheBadGuy. This video actually was the winner of the Patreon It Just Works poll, which is a poll I run every month where I put a list of names in there, and people who pledge $3 or more are able to vote on which name they want. So if you want to do that, head on over and you can do that. And if you were to gain the ability to walk on rain and you could walk up and touch a rainbow, you'd find out that most rainbows themselves are actually made from Blu-ray DVD copies of Shimonetta, Boring World of the Concentrated Jokes Doesn't Exist, where you can get a copy of that. You can get a piece of a rainbow if you go to Funimation.com/show/Shimonetta, Boring World of the Concentrated Jokes Doesn't Exist. Get yourself a copy of Shimonetta.